every stage has its wonderments, but every stage also has, some hardships, when your kids are going through young adult things, and you just have to listen and reassure, hey, you will get to the other side of this, that hurts differently.
Yeah.
But when they start to get to the other side, or something, works out, then it's like, okay, there's another sign of the faith walk, and there's another assurance, and and we get ready for the next one.
Welcome to the Age of Lions podcast, a platform and community dedicated to bringing purpose, strategy, and calling to kingdom-minded people who are 50 plus and excited about their next chapter. Here's your host, Mark Clement.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Age of Lions podcast. That was my favorite and my personal therapist, Adam Calvert. He's going to be our guest today. Can't wait for you to hear him. Hey, before we get started, I want to make sure that on whatever platform you're enjoying this, whether it's Apple or Spotify or you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, leave comments, and join the conversation. We're all on this journey together, and we want to know what you think. I want you to lean in today. Adam has more degrees than I can list and over 20 years of experience as a professional counselor and therapist. And he spends much of his time now actually training and coaching up-and-coming counselors and other therapists in different fields. He's incredible. And he has seen it all. And when he talks about the issues and the challenges that are affecting people as they age, I just want you to trust me that he absolutely knows what he's talking about. So don't miss that. Make sure you lean in and get everything out of this you possibly can. Here's Adam Calvert. Hey, Adam Calvert. What's up, my friend?
Not a lot really this morning. It's good to see you, Mark.
Are Fridays off days for you?
Generally, yeah.
Okay.
I may work one Friday a month, but for the most part, I'm off.
That's great. Nothing like a 4-day work week.
Yes, it's wonderful.
I don't have any of those right now, but I have seasons of those, and they're great when you can get them. No doubt. Yes. Well, I was telling everybody a little bit about you and who you are and how we know each other, but I'd love for you to tell the audience a little bit just about your practice and kind of the sort of things you guys do, and if you've got any specialties or whatever, just so they have a little bit better feel for your what you do every day.
All right. Let's see if I can condense that. I've been in practice. This is about my 30th year.
Wow.
And I've been in solo practice for almost 10 years. Before that, I contracted with various agencies, and it was wonderful. But about 10 years ago, I hung my own shingle. And originally it was just going to be my wife, Mandy, who manages the practice, and she's a coach. But over time we've grown, and now there are, I guess, a total of 13 of us now.
Wow.
And we specialize in trauma work, betrayal trauma, I'm a certified sexual addiction therapist, so we do a lot of sexual brokenness, healing work, and I will see, in my case, the husband who may have had some issues, and another one of our counselors will see the spouse, and then another one of our counselors will see the family members. And so we have it really set up now where we can really touch every aspect of a family's journey through healing. Okay. So I'm really pleased about that. We have some really gifted therapists, and I've enjoyed growing them, developing them, and stretching. And so that's kind of what we do.
Yeah. It sounds like a fun season of life to kind of use all your experiences and stuff now, helping other therapists and coaching them and mentoring them and that kind of thing. Do you typically hire younger, like kind of up and coming therapists? Like, is that normal, or is it kind of all over the board?
Well, right now there are different they're different ages. Some are they're all new therapists, but they may not be that young. This
Right.
may
Yeah, I
be
get
a
it.
second career or something like that. But I have not sought them. They have contacted me.
Okay.
Whether they've heard about my practice or they've known me somehow. And so they've contacted me. We've sat down, talked through just to see how we all connect and our belief systems. And so that's been a very interesting part of this journey, is that I haven't sought any of these counselors.
Yeah.
God just kind of brought us all together. And so it's a really strong team, really powerful team, I think, and just really gifted.
Yeah.
And but so we're building their practices. So they're young in the field, but they have just these natural giftedness, God giftedness, just a compassion that's there. And so right now we're growing their practices and kind of doing some marketing. I've never had to do marketing before, so we're doing a little bit of marketing now just to kind of see. That's been a learning experience for myself.
Sure.
I'm old school. I have a marketing degree, so I kind of know how to do old school marketing. I don't really know how to do, all the media type stuff, that's out there. So we have some young therapists who fortunately do know how to do that. But it's been interesting that they don't know the old school, where
Right.
you walk into a building and you introduce yourself and you give them a card, and you go to a restaurant and you leave your card, and and you hear conversations and you give them cards. So we're having to meld our two worlds, together, and that's been really, really cool.
Yeah, that's fun to watch. Marketing is such a tricky thing. That's obviously part of what my company does, and I always try to tell people when they contact us, it's like it's a mix of a science and an art, and it's not a formula that just works every time. Like there's enough nuance in it that there's some principles that work and principles that are transferable from old school to new school and all that stuff. But you're still throwing some mud at the wall and just trying to see what sticks. Like there's a piece of it that you just can't. It's just not black and white. Like it's kind of black and white, but it's really gray.
That's right.
And so just trying to set expectations is always the challenge, because people just think, well, I'll spend $1,000, you'll do X, and then I'll get so many customers. It's like, probably, but I'm not guaranteeing. There's too many variables that affect everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you're talking about the old and new too, because we had a guest on one time and he was talking about, he's in the kind of recruiting business for ministries and stuff. William Vanderblom is his name. And he was talking about how we got B2B and C2C and B2C and all the different kind of ways that we deal with companies and individuals and all that. But he talked a lot about the H to H, which is human to human. He said that skill with all the AI and all the digital and all the stuff that's going on, like that skill is going to fade in a lot of people. So anybody who has that and can grow that and have that added on to all the technical side is really going to win in the end, because that part's never going to go away.
That's right.
It's different, and we connect in different ways, but you still got to have the skill to be able to talk to people and ask the right questions. And so it is fascinating, especially as we're getting older and we have that kind of, that our perspective is so much bigger than a younger person's, just because of life and experience, trying to meld those things together. Jen and I have told our kids so many times, like, because of the way things have shifted, it's like, hey, if you just show up on time and work hard, you're in the top 2%.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's right. And that's sad, but it's true. It's like that bar is so low. Mm-hmm. And the way we've tried to raise our kids, it's like, hey, if you just come in there with a great work ethic and a great attitude and you're on time and you come early, stay late and that kind of stuff, like you're in the top, you're the cream of the crop right there. And then it's all upside, then you got all upside from there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, speaking of aging, what the first question we always ask everybody is: at what point in your journey did you was that sort of aha moment of I'm getting a little older, like I've kind of crossed the Rubicon. A lot of people tell stories about the first time they got their reader glasses, or when their body started hurting when they woke up in the morning, whatever. It's all different kind of things. But for you, what was that kind of moment where you're like, yeah, like I'm in a new season. I've got to kind of think about this in a different way.
Yeah. Every time I look in the mirror, it reminds me. But I think one of my early points, I think when I turned 40, my birthday card from my oldest son, who was young, he had drawn a picture of me and him, and he was smiling and I was frowning. And he said, "I know you don't like birthdays, but happy birthday, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, okay. Evidently, it's showing up
Showing.
that I am not enjoying aging. And so from that point on, I made an importance on birthdays that I'm going to enjoy my birthday, and I think we actually had the same birthday, September 17th.
Oh, I don't know that I've realized that. Okay.
Yeah, and I meant to send you a text that day, and we were out. And anyway, happy belated birthday.
You too. Well, I wouldn't have gotten it because I was off the grid in the woods of North Carolina. So
Good.
I was
What a great way
gone.
to celebrate your birthday.
It was really good. Yeah, that's so funny. The way our kids see us is definitely interesting.
Oh, for sure.
And just other people, just younger people in general.
And that's how I am. I do not feel as old as I am.
I agree.
And so when I look in the mirror, I realize, oh, I'm looking at my dad. I'm looking at me. Okay. So the question, these different times I have felt older it's those moments when I look in the mirror, because I don't feel as old as I am.
Right.
When I'm talking to younger people, sometimes I will feel like their age.
Yeah. In my head, I'm about 33.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Well, you talk about not feeling it, and you've, as long as I've known you, you've always been in good shape, and you seem like you take good care of yourself. You eat well, all that kind of stuff. What are the things that you do that you think are helping on that side? Because I tell you, and I'm sure you've seen this too. Like sometimes I see people my age or around my age who look like, especially if I've known them since they were younger, and I think, golly, they really look older.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. Well, I see that I'm aging. I mean, I'm not blind to it, but I don't feel like I have changed as much as I see in other people. Now, that might be complete blind spot. I don't know. But to me, the way you look and the way you're saying you feel indicates that you're taking good care of yourself. So what are you doing? Do you think that kind of helps keep you on the youthful side of that feeling?
Yeah, when I was reading that question, when you sent it to me, I'm like, I don't know if I've really ever thought about it, but part of it is my attitude. I don't feel as old as I am, and so that keeps me kind of moving, which is important. You got to move. You got to stretch. You got to have some type of activity. And so I have a row machine. I have my mountain bike. Now I have an e-bike now. I don't have my old hardtail bike anymore, but I have my e-bike, which, I still got to pedal. I'm still, getting the cardio there, but it does help me go up the mountains a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm careful with my diet. Every Friday night, we have Mexican, and I can have one skinny margarita, small. That's my treat. But other than that, I don't drink. I don't smoke. So I'm real careful about what I put in my body, and I always have been. And some of that, not necessarily because I'm that health conscious. It's because growing up a preacher's kid and having to go to those covered dish dinners, I get nauseated at a lot of food. And so I just, don't eat a whole lot.
Yeah, we've talked about that a few times.
Yeah.
Both being preachers' kids.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like, now maybe that has helped me,
Sure.
with my health. But
let me ask you this: Are you one of those people who you kind of eat the same thing every day for lunch, and you're very routine? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Is it literally the same thing every day?
I eat. Yeah. Everybody at the office just kind of laughs. I mean, because I work through lunch. I'll supervise new counselors during 12 to 1. So I have a yogurt, and I eat my yogurt every day. That one of the counselors for my birthday brought me a 4-pack of, the protein yogurt that I eat. So, but, I may eat some, a little bowl of bran cereal when I get home at, 7:30. I'll have a piece of toast with honey in the mornings. So, yeah, I eat basically the same thing every day.
Okay. And then Mexican on Friday night.
Yeah. And I have Mexican on Friday night.
Which I have to say, after that diet all week, that must throw you into a little bit of Saturday might be a little hard.
Well, I don't eat a lot. I don't eat.
Okay.
I have my little bit of Mexican chicken that I eat.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. So I have to ask this question too, because we eat a lot of yogurt. And we are really in a good season of eating really well. So like getting the right amount of protein and that kind of stuff. So what brand of yogurt do you eat? I'm curious.
It starts with a C. Mandy buys it, so I don't really.
Is it Chobani?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's the protein. It's black. Sometimes she gets black. About. Yeah, and then sometimes it's white and with fruit. I don't really pay attention. I just
you've been eating it a long time, so that is funny.
Yeah.
Well, what's it been like for you guys as your kids have gotten older and are out now? I guess you've got one in the workforce and one in college, and so y'all are empty nesting it now. And what's that transition been like for you guys? Pros and cons, like what have been some things that are harder than you thought or easier than you thought? I'd love to get your 2 cents on that.
We're a real close family.
Yeah.
And so when my oldest son decided to move to Orange Beach, that's where he lives now. I was excited for him, but he's my firstborn, and but we stay in touch and we go to the beach, as often as we can. And now we have a 3-year-old grandson, and so we FaceTime. We do a lot of communication. John Parker and Mandy talk, more than he and I talk just throughout the day. But so because we're staying in touch, we still feel connected. But when we do see each other, it's really good. But as they've aged and now they're dealing with young adult things of life, helping them navigate those, we can't control what they do. And we've taught them, I think, the best we can. And so now seeing them utilize some of those tools plus their own, that's been very gratifying. So, but it's hard, every stage has its wonderments, but every stage also has, some hardships, when your kids are going through young adult things, and you just have to listen and reassure, hey, you will get to the other side of this, that hurts differently.
Yeah.
But when they start to get to the other side or something, works out, then it's like, okay, there's another sign of the faith walk, and there's another assurance, and whew, you know, and we get
Yeah.
ready for the next one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What's that saying? You're either entering into one, in one, or leaving one season
that's right.
all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So
But I've enjoyed Mandy and I've had more time, and we can travel, and both boys now live in destination places, so we go see them. We go to the mountains to see Sam, and we go to the beach to see John Parker. And so we're having a good time.
that's fun. That's good. That's so good. A lot of people struggle with that transition so much. Did you guys prep for it? Were you kind of getting ready for it over time? Like you saw it coming and you were kind of doing steps to kind of be okay with it? Or did it kind of hit you out of nowhere and you just had to process?
Oh, that's a good question. I think because we have communicated so well, because that's one of the things when the boys were little, we agreed that we were going to let them talk. We were not going to interrupt. We were not going to judge. We would guide and instruct, but we were going to listen. And so because of that, they have just continued to talk. And so when it came time for them to move to the next stage, we were listening and we were talking and conversing. And so it seemed very natural. And even though we miss them physically, we're very connected emotionally. And so it doesn't seem too separated.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So I guess we prepared early for it, by just listening and staying connected. So
yeah, that's good. As you're thinking about the next, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years, whatever. What are your thoughts around like retirement and like you said, staying active? And because we talk a lot on here about purpose and calling, and it's not necessarily a work thing. Like it's not that you have to be in a job, but it does seem like when people stop doing stuff, they really start to decline. So
right.
In your mind, what's your strategy for that as far as like your business? And if you aren't doing that, are you doing something else? Like what thoughts have you had about that?
Well, because of my temperament, I probably will never retire.
Yeah.
I love what I do, and I feel blessed to be able to do it. And so I don't really see myself ever retiring. And since I have my own practice, nobody's going to force me out of it.
Right.
I don't think. I mean, Mandy might shove me out. I don't know.
Sure.
Since she owns it as well. But anyway, but I do see myself at some point. I don't know when that is, but at some point I will probably see fewer clients and do more, because I do a lot of supervision now. I do a lot of consulting and things like that. And so I may move more into that. I really enjoy new counselors coming into the field and setting them up and teaching them and showing them and listening to them. And, I'm sorry, we have a lot of windows and birds are for some reason hitting our windows.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, good. One just smashed into the window. Sorry, you can edit that out. But I see myself transitioning a little more that way.
Okay.
But I don't think I'll ever not go to the office.
Right. Yeah. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I know we talk about that a lot too. Like I don't ever see us doing that. It may change or shift, or we may travel more and take a little more time off, but still like, all the benefits of this stage of life,
Sure.
But sitting around or going and playing golf every day just is not appealing at all. And again, just in all the interviews we've done thus far, it seems to be a pretty consistent theme. The people that I tend to pick to want to talk to, there's myriad reasons why I pick someone like you, but one of them is I think we all kind of share that mentality of how important purpose is, especially as a believer. Like, God's wired us a certain way. He's called us to do things, whether we're volunteering, serving, working a job, whatever it is. But there's power in that. And again, you see the people who kind of stop moving, to use your word from earlier, stop stretching, stop growing,
Right.
stop challenging themselves. They tend to be the ones who decline the fastest, unfortunately.
Yes.
Well, speaking of your practice, you've obviously been doing this, like you said, for decades. And I know over that time you've seen, a range of people, all different ages and stuff. But when you think about your clients who are in the older category, let's just call it 45 or 50 plus, I'm sure you've seen your fair share of them. What are some common themes you just see with people that age, that are age related things, like they're struggling with? Is it, identity or purpose, or just never having healed from things from their earlier part of life? Like, what are some common things that you see, and what are some common things you encourage them to do to help work through that?
The 45 to 55 range of guys or clients, I mainly see men. I don't really.
Sure.
I'll just refer them like that.
Yeah.
It's really becoming the identity. Like, things are transitioning. They have worked in their careers, and now they're coming to that point where they've got to decide, to keep going up or transition around. And if they really haven't been preparing for it, then that can throw them off. And so part of our work is kind of getting that as stabilized as possible. Like, what is going on? What are the options there? And a lot of it is developmental. We get into our later 50s and early 60s, and we start looking back, like, what has our life looked like? What has our story been? And how is it going to continue in these next chapters? And so a lot of it is just naturally reflective. And so some of my clients that are in their, mid to late 60s and early 70s, what we do is just kind of reflect on their story. Any regrets that they may have, we start working through those. Just hearing their stories. They just need a place to talk. But in the 45 to 55 range, it's getting ready for a transition of some sort. Are they fighting it, or are they working with it?
Yeah.
And depending on what their early life, their early story is, if there's a lot of trauma in that and they're afraid to settle down, or to transition, then we spend time healing up some of those traumas that just haven't been able to heal, and they've been kind of driving whatever action is going on. We're chasing something instead of, moving toward it and resting in it or enjoying it or whatever, So
Yeah.
Everybody's a little bit different, but it's really their story. I hear their story, and then we decide where we need to go next.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of people end up coming to see you based more on a symptom of that than the root? Like, is it that they're acting out in their marriage, or they're having issues in other relationship parts of their life because of the root cause, and that's what kind of drives them to you? And then you figure out, actually, this is just a symptom. This is
right.
Is that pretty common?
Yes. It's kind of whatever gets them into the office, a crisis or of some sort, maybe a big crisis, like I've acted out and my family's blowing up, or I'm realizing I'm having an identity kind of thing. And, but whatever the symptom or the cause is, we'll talk through that and kind of settle it down, get a plan or whatever we need to do present day. But then I go back and just check in. What is the root? What are those, wounds that keep getting activated. And so, because most of our life are patterns and we just repeat this pattern. And so part of my work is kind of finding out what those patterns are, the unhealthy patterns. What is the root cause of that pattern? And so then we go from there.
Yeah. If, most of our audience is our age, that's sort of the whole point. But if a younger person were watching this, what would you tell them? What are some things that people could do when they're younger that would help them navigate this stage of life better? Because it feels to me like a lot of times when these kind of things come up, I was with a guy yesterday that I'm just kind of mentoring a little bit, and like, you see kind of these common themes with people where it's like a delayed development, so to speak. Like they haven't addressed things when they should have. And so it festers and builds and intensifies, and there's stuff in it and all that stuff, And again, I'm not a professional like you are, but as a pastoral person, I'm still probably seeing a lot of the same things. Yes. And definitely. Then when I can't help them, then I send them to you, that kind of thing. But if talking to younger people in their 20s and 30s, like what are some things they could be doing that would help them be better prepared just for life in general and knowing who they are and all that kind of stuff?
With my younger guys, I really spend time getting to know, again, their early story. Because in that story is a belief system. And so we have these beliefs about who we are. And if they're not true, there's a false core belief. Like, I have to prove my worth. I am not really a good person. If you really know me, you'll reject me, and if there's a theme of that kind of infiltrating into your system, and you'll start operating out of those false core beliefs. And so you're either proving them right or proving them wrong, which is a motive kind of thing. Like,
that's right.
If early life was not very nurturing and you had to kind of learn how to take care of yourself, then that affects your attachment, your ability to attach to others, and that relationship type, trauma there. So you don't trust anyone. If it's meant to be, it's up to me kind of belief. And so you start operating through life like that. And at some point, that false core belief it gets you in a bind. And so with the younger guys, I really spend time on what do you believe about yourself? What is true? What is not? What is your motive in moving forward through life? And because those belief systems come in when we're really young, and they lock in as truth around preteen, early teen. So when they're in their 20s and 30s, they've already been operating out of a false core belief for a few years.
Yeah, so reinforced.
So if we can get that dismantled and reworked to what truth is, then the rest of their life will be freer, will be more life-giving. They'll be able to receive love as well as give love and trust. And so that's what I spend the most time on. And I would encourage the younger guys to look. And you can tell by the self-talk. I'll have my clients, a lot of times we don't notice ourselves very much. We'll notice everybody else, especially if we have a false core belief of I've got to make sure everybody else is okay, that I'm okay, and that kind of thing. So I have them spend time with themselves. What do you notice? What are you saying to yourself? Are you asking yourself a lot of questions? And if you are you answering those questions? Like, why do I keep doing this? Well, if you don't put an answer to that question, then you're going to keep asking and keep doing.
Yeah.
So listen to the self-talk. What are they saying to themselves? What are they noticing in their bodies? Where do they feel stress? Where do they hold different things? So I do a lot of somatic work as well, just to get to know the body. And
what does that word mean, somatic?
I guess I should know the exact definition, but I don't. You caught me on that. It's basically our bodies actually hold a lot of information. All right.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll feel like, well, like I just got off the row machine and, I pulled a muscle. All right. Yes, maybe so. But I'm also stressed. And so where do I hold stress in my body? When I am really worked up, do I get a knot somewhere? Does my chest get tight when I am talking to so-and-so, So the somatic part of us is learning where do we hold stuff in our body, because I don't mean to get psycho-ed, but information comes into that right part of our brain first, our limbic system, and it kind of assesses the scene. All right. Well, the limbic system sits on top of our brainstem, and so then it sends signals down through the body. And so that is operating. Then the information goes to the left part of our brain, so to speak, where the logic is. All right. So by the time it gets to the logical part of our mind, the executive part, we've already been experiencing some type of activation.
Yeah.
All right. So learning the somatic part, which I'll come up with that definition of what somatic means. But anyway, the body, you can really get a lot of information. And the goal is to stay balanced. Here's how I feel. Here's where it is in my body. And here's what I think. And so if that is congruent, then you'll stay steady.
Yeah.
All right. But learning where you feel things in your body is very important. Because we have this sonar radar about us. And if somebody comes up and they have any semblance of somebody in the past that has hurt us, our body is not necessarily going to distinguish, oh, this is a safe person. They just look like a person who's hurt me. It's just saying this is like that.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have a reaction.
It's like a visceral reaction.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right. There's a parasympathetic and sympathetic and, all that in our nervous system. So being able to attune to that and notice, oh, when this person comes up, my chest gets tight. My heart rate goes up. I get tingling in my hands and feet like I want to run. All right. You get curious about that. And then you're able to calm yourself and go, okay, it is similar because they look alike, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And that's the executive part of your brain saying, this is what it really is.
Yeah.
And then you're able to calm.
Yeah. Is it true that, also, I guess it'd be that executive logic part as well, that sometimes it tries to, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. There's a saying, a thing I've heard recently where they're talking about how, if something, I think it's usually in the context of like, I remember when I was working at Highlands College, we had safety training, and if we ever had a crisis or an active shooter, just all the stuff that public places have to do with these days. And we had some experts come in and talk about it, and it was really fascinating. But they're like, if something sounds wrong, if you hear a noise that sounds funny in the distance, like a gunshot or some sound that's not familiar, that our brain has a tendency to dismiss it. We logic it, we reason it away. Oh, right. That was probably just X or Y.
That's right.
Do we do that same thing when things like this happen? When you are around somebody that makes you uncomfortable, or you feel a thing, do we tend to dismiss that, especially as we're adults? And men, I would think even more so, would be like, oh, that's nothing, or I'm not going to overreact, or da da da.
Yes.
Are we shutting down a part of us that really should be paying more attention to?
Yes, we are. We'll minimize our own self. And so, one of my sayings, especially with the young therapist that I'm, working with, I'm like, trust your gut.
Yeah.
All right. Your gut is going to tell you. All right. Whether it, if you're a believer, a lot of times it's the spirit within.
That's right.
All right. But we're created we're sensory. And a lot of times we don't learn that because we're paying attention to our environment, making sure our environment is safe. If our environment is safe, then we're safe. A lot of people, they grow up in a dysfunctional family where they have to make sure mom or dad is taken care of emotionally. Well, when that happens, you don't really learn your own.
Yeah.
You learn others, but you don't
Yeah.
learn your own.
Yeah. You read the others really well.
Yes, but you don't read yourself. And so you'll
Right.
minimize yourself.
Right.
And so when there's a gunshot or there's somebody that's coming up that has, that is similar to someone who's harmed you, you may not know what to do. You'll misread or you'll ignore, and you'll have probably some type of reaction, whether it's you don't pay attention that that's a gunshot and you get yourself in a situation, or this person who is similar but not the same, you push them back or do something, reactive. And then you're like, what was that about?
Yeah. So are there cases where people do the opposite, where they don't dismiss it, but they actually overreact a lot? Is that another symptom? Okay.
Yeah,
so it's almost like a reflex they can't control.
Yes, they'll dysregulate. We have what's called a window of tolerance. It's kind of a phrase. And so the window of tolerance is kind of how we operate throughout the day. And so we're created to kind of do this. We'll notice something, we'll assess it, and we might elevate a little bit. And then, because our brain is assessing. The information is coming in, we're feeling it, we're sensing it in our body, we're logically explaining it, we're staying balanced. But if you've had the type of trauma where you have to get reactive or your temperament is more reactive, then you're going to do this. All right. And you're going to go out of your window of tolerance. And so, so you'll either kind of, fawn or freeze, or you will fight or flight, but it'll be overreaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we could talk about this for hours.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's fascinating. I think, for people who have been in therapy at any basic level, I told them up front, you're my therapist. I've seen you. You kind of learn some of these terms, you learn some of these things, but I think there's a lot of people who still, there's probably, it's much less than it used to be, but there's still some stigma around it for certain people.
Sure.
And I want people to hear kind of how you're talking about that, because this isn't, it's like, no, there's a science to this that's very logical, because I remember some of the conversations that we've had over the years. And I remember the body thing, for example, you talking about that. I don't think you used that word, somatic. What would you call it? Somatic?
Somatic, yeah.
Somatic. But I remember the first time you asked me, how does this thing make you feel in your body? Like, I'd never even thought about that. I'm not, I just want it to be fixed. Whatever the thing was, I don't remember what we're talking about now, but I remember you asking me that question. I remember you giving me some exercises to go and write some stuff down or draw a picture or whatever, just anything to get the different sides of the brain kind of moving and thinking, because it does unlock. I was this retreat, this hike thing I was on a few weeks ago was really fascinating. This group, they're out of Colorado. They're called a Restoration Project, and they do a lot of story work. And so, they're, and I don't want to put them in a box. Like, I don't know anything else except for this one experience that I had. But on this particular trip, it was the leaders, the counselors were talking a lot about kind of the child within you, the boy, because it was all men, the boy, and what would you say to the boy, and what's he trying to tell you, and all this kind of stuff. And so it's just a different kind of approach to some of the same stuff. But I remember them talking a lot about the feelings, the body stuff, the physicality, like how does it make you feel, and what part of you reacts, or all that kind of stuff. And it was really interesting just to hear, as a pastor type person, former pastor, coach, again, not a trained therapist, but like and then being a therapy patient myself off and on through the years, I'm just always kind of fascinated by the framework. Like, what are they? Because I actually talked to a couple of them after, because I went into it not really knowing much about what that was going to be about. That wasn't really why I was there, but it was really fascinating. And so I was just like, help me understand, why is this the thing you keep going to, or why do you keep asking these questions? And they kind of unpacked it a little bit more. And I was like, oh, okay, that I understand that. I couldn't kind of get it to work in my head, but it is interesting all the different ways you can sort of approach the same fundamental root stuff, So that's really interesting. But anyway, I just wanted people to hear you talk about it a little bit, because I think, I think in my notes that I sent you too, I said, it's never too late to go to therapy. It's never, or counseling, or whatever word you want to use with it. It's, I have found it to be so helpful over the years to just understand myself better, to process, just have a neutral person to just, you don't have a dog in the fight. I mean, we've become friends, and I know you care about me, but like, you're not invested in my family. Like, you don't know, we don't hang out socially, because that gets weird. A little too much. But it's just so helpful to have that objective input. And, probably like a lot of therapists, you're not there to fix it for us. You're typically trying to help us figure it out for ourselves. Like, you're kind of,
That's right.
There's some kind of funny cliches about how therapists don't really do anything but ask questions. I'm sure you've seen some of those memes and things, but it's true. And that can move in a way that feels like we're not really making any progress. I've had that experience too with different people, but with you and a couple other people I've seen over the years that were really helpful, it's very intentional. And there's a method to the madness, so to speak. Like, you're leading me somewhere. You're not just, it's not a circle that never stops. Right. It's progressing. Right. So anyway, I think it's just helpful for people to kind of hear that. So I wanted to ask you this too, a little bit of a change of subject, but as I started doing these interviews, and I was doing them months ahead of time when we first started, and I got about 6 or 7 in, and I kind of realized there's a question I should be asking everybody that I'm not asking. So I started to ask it, and it's this: how has your faith grown and or changed as you've gotten older? I'm always fascinated to hear how people are processing that, because it does seem like the longer we walk with the Lord, there's just changes that happen. There's growth that happens. There's beliefs that change. Probably not the fundamental things, but maybe the way we apply stuff. How would you answer that question?
Well, see, I accepted Christ when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember that like it was yesterday, and it's been 50 plus years ago. Now. But
I do too. I was the same.
Yeah.
Mine was out of revival. You had a revival twice
a
year.
Same here.
And we'd have a guest preacher come in, and every night.
That's right.
For a week.
Yep.
And I don't remember his name, but I remember what he looked like. And that was my moment. Yeah, it's burned into my memory. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the only time. My dad was a pastor, and we lived in the church home, the church-owned home, the pastorium. And they had built this big house, all right, for the pastor. But it was too expensive, really, for us to run the air conditions. And so because that didn't get paid a lot, but we had this nice house. And so the pastor during the revival would stay with us. And that's the only time, the summer revival, we would run the air condition, was when he was there. Now, I don't think that had anything to do with me accepting Christ, but it's part of the story.
For what it's worth.
Anyway, whatever. But because I accepted Christ so young and really grew up in a believer home and had the faith and just kind of was able to see how faith really plays out, so to speak. I don't know if that's the right wording, but
yeah.
I've never not known faith, if that makes sense. And I've been blessed with that. Now, growing up, our church was not the healthiest. And so it affected my trust. And as I said earlier, it affected also my eating habits. So anyway, but as a family, we got close. So over the years, though, because I grew up a preacher's kid, I don't really, ministers don't really enamor me,
Sure.
And so, they're men or women that are called and they have a role, and it's wonderful. All right. But I don't necessarily get involved with them that much. And so when I go to church now, I go and I listen, and we're members of a really, really cool church. And I'm so thankful that we're members there. And I enjoy it, but I'm also old enough now where I don't get involved if I don't want to get involved. The other day we had just started going to the church, and our life group we were in the life church and life group and whatever. And, cause we took time off during COVID. We took several years. We just kind of stepped back, and then we downsized and we moved to this new church, and it's been good. So anyway, Mandy's like, we have to get plugged back into a church. And I said, okay. So we found this church that's local, and it's been good. So we're at the life group, and so at the end, it's like, would anybody like to close us out in prayer? And somebody said, well, Adam would. And I went, Adam wouldn't. No, I'm not going to do that today. So I think my age has allowed me to just be a little more honest with what I will do and what I won't do, and what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not comfortable with. And, I may sound like a jerk, but there's just some things that I just don't worry about anymore.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not as rigid as I used to be when it comes to things. I think I'm more honest with where I feel comfortable and where I don't, and what I want to do and what I don't want to do. Because I see my work as a ministry, that I want to go to church and be fed. I don't really want to get that involved. I mean, we've spoken on different counseling topics at different things at the church, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I'm not going to teach Sunday school.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to do that.
It's fine. It's fine with me.
Yeah. And, and I'm okay saying that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is a long answer to your short question, but I think I just feel more comfortable. I don't get tied up with denominational type things, with man-made type things.
Yeah.
I just drama. I just don't deal with that, so.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially given what you do, but also just because of who you are and your age and all that too. I know there's just a point in life where you get to, like, your radar for that kind of stuff is so sensitive, and you're like, nope, I'm not touching that. I'm not getting involved with that. I know how this is going to end.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it's not always like bad things. It's just, that's just not for me. It's not worthy of my, worthy is a strong word, but it's not the best use of my time or my energy. I've learned over the years in all different facets of life that it's really important how you say and when you say no. I mean, it just is. There are seasons of a lot of yes, and that's fine, and we've all had those. But like, there's a point where you're like, I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm able to, how I can help. I'm open to new ideas, and I will definitely consider things. But like, you're gonna have to really talk me into some stuff sometimes. Like my initial thing's gonna be, I don't think that's probably the best use of my time. There's probably somebody else who would be better fit.
Yeah.
And also, I really want to help you, but I know that in 6 weeks I'm going to hate that I said yes to this. There's just, you just
Right.
learn.
Yeah. I know my limits.
Yeah. And it's a pattern. Like I've done that before. I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have any issue with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's just,
I've learned that. So, every so often I'll adjunct, and I've learned that I can do a semester is what, 12-ish weeks or something like that.
12 to 16, yeah, depending on the school.
Yeah. Okay, I can make it to 12. Those last 4, we're going to be doing projects or whatever. I'm burned out. I'm done. I'm real good at a 6-week kind of thing. But if it goes past that, I'm bored.
You're more like, I'll do term A or B, but I won't do both.
Yes. Yeah. And so I've learned those things. And so I'll do something at the church for a couple of times, and then I don't want to do that again. And I'm okay saying that now. Whereas it took me a while to kind of be okay with that.
Yeah.
The other thing I think about church now, I have clients kind of all over the city, and a lot of them go to my church, and I don't want to affect their service, and I don't want to work on Sunday. And so I'm just mindful of that, and since I've been in practice so long, kind of everywhere I go, I may or may not see someone that I know that I can't interact with, and so it's the same at church. And so I'm just kind of aware of who's around me so that I don't disrupt them or really be disrupted too. I mean, it kind of goes both ways, but it's mainly I don't want to upset them. So I'm a little more quiet when I go into church now.
Yeah, people in your profession, that is an effect of it that probably a lot of people don't realize. Like it does put you in a weird position because you have to be careful where you are, and again, you've been even in one city for 30 plus years doing this, so I imagine you can't hardly go anywhere without seeing somebody. Yeah, and knowing you just know a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I mean it's fine, but
and if they come up to me and talk to me, that's fine. But I just can't. And so growing up, when the kids were young, if someone came up and started talking to me and I didn't introduce them, they would know, oh, this is somebody that I see, and so they can introduce themselves if they want. I mean, I don't,
right.
I don't want to make it weird like that, but that's just kind of the HIPAA thing. I just, just honoring everybody as much as I can. But yeah, at church, it puts on a different kind of feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last question. Is there anybody that's influencing you or that you're modeling after or learning from who's maybe a little older than you and maybe a season of life one stage ahead of you that maybe somebody you read, maybe somebody you know personally that you're learning from? Any influences in your life that are helping you?
No, I read that question, and I was thinking professionally, since I'm about as old as everybody now. So Dan Allender, who does a lot of story work.
He's a big influence he's a big influence on the guys that I was with. A lot of them have gone to his school. Yeah, they talked about him a lot, and I've known of Dan for a long time.
Yeah, and so I was thinking about that, and because I've really enjoyed his approach to things. There's a calmness about him. There's a directness about him. And so I'm drawn to that. And I'm a story guy. I want to hear the story, And then, since I'm a certified sexual addiction therapist, and Patrick Carnes is the one who kind of developed the model and the research around that. And he is still constantly researching to make things more understood. So it's very up-to-date type information. And I've appreciated that, because a lot of things are not updated, and I like that information. But honestly, there are a lot of younger people that I'm learning from actually right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even my own counselors that are working with me. I mean, like the social media aspect of things, and there's some new modalities that are kind of out there now that I'm learning from. And so I'm actually learning a lot from some of the younger folks that are up and coming. Now, some of the things they're talking about now, I did do 30 years ago, but it's kind of recycled with a refreshed or even more information, especially about the brain.
Yeah.
That we didn't know 30 years ago that we do know now. And so I've enjoyed kind of doing some repeating of some things I've been doing, but now with
more information.
More information, yeah, because we're learning every day.
That's right.
So I didn't really answer your question very well, but
no, you did. I mean, I think that's great, and that's been a pretty common answer, in the sense of I found the folks who are really thriving at our age, as they're getting older, they're learning from lots of different sources. It's not just I've got a coach or a mentor who's older than me, and sometimes that's the case, and that's great. But even the last 2 weeks, the people I've talked to, they've talked a lot about how much they're learning from the younger people around them, whether it's on their staff or like you, or other just authors they're reading, or specialists in a field, or personal life development coach type people, whatever. That is one of the most exciting things I think about this era that we live in, is there's just no lack of information. I mean, anything you want to know, you can pretty much find it for free, or pay somebody to do it in a structured way or whatever. And there's certainly no excuse to not be growing. It's not like we don't have access to resources. So I think it's great, because, the younger generations do have things to teach us, and us them. I think the more we can bridge that gap both ways, everybody really wins, for sure.
Somebody's come to my mind just when we talk about the somatic. So there's a lady named Christine Baker, and she was in Birmingham, and she and her husband just moved back to Atlanta. But I supervised Christine when she was becoming a CSAT years ago, long time ago. I think she may have been one of my first supervisees. Well, she does a lot of the somatic work, and she has a podcast called Everyday Simple Somatics. And so every Wednesday, so I'm learning from her now, as she learned from me years ago, I'm learning from her now. And so that has just been the coolest thing. Yeah.
I love that. And maybe I should listen to that so I can be told what that word means.
Yes. Yeah. She's got a definition, and she'll be upset that I didn't know it right off the bat. But anyway.
I think we got the gist. Well, man, I'm so grateful for you and for your time and just giving me this hour. It's been awesome. I think everybody's going to get a lot out of it. And I just, I love you. I'm so appreciative of you and your friendship. And
thank you, brother.
My only regret is I just wish we could hang out more. I wish we just had an opportunity to hang out more, but that's just that's how it is sometimes. But
that's right.
I love you, man. I appreciate you very, very much.
I love you too, brother.
As you can see, Adam is an incredible wealth of knowledge when it comes to counseling and therapy. He's worked with people of all ages and all backgrounds, and has just done has built an incredible body of work over the last 20 years. So grateful that he spent some time with us today. I hope you got a lot out of it. I know that I did. He's just one of my favorite people to hang out with. He's the real deal. We have some amazing episodes coming up, including Chris and Carla Hines from the ministry Marriage in Focus. They are incredible. I can't wait for you to hear what they have learned about couples as they're aging. We also have Wendy Garner, who's one of Birmingham's most well-known and beloved news anchors from years ago. And she's now the executive director of a ministry or a nonprofit called On River Time that works with abused and neglected kids, getting them out into nature. It's an incredible thing that they do. And then we've got coming up a good friend of mine named Pastor Mark Price. Mark is part of the Church of the Highlands staff, has been a campus pastor and served in production and many other roles. And he's going to bring some really interesting insights when it comes to empty nesting. Their daughter just went off to college for the first time, and so they're going through a whole new phase of life. And also talking about changing careers after 50. He's had an incredible experience lately, making a big decision to do something different. And so going to hear from him about that. And again, I want to make sure that whatever platform you're on, that however you're enjoying this, however you're consuming it, listening, watching, whatever you're doing, make sure to like, subscribe, make sure you leave comments, join the conversation. Like I said all the time, we're on this journey together, so we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think, and we want to learn from you. And another way you can do that is to go to the Age of Lions website, which is ageoflions.com, and sign up for our list, our mailing list, newsletter list, whatever you want to call it. Just get on that list so that you can get some updates from us, know what's going on, get early access to some things. We're building community there, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. I really hope this episode encouraged you. I know I got a lot out of it, and hope it gave you some great tools to help you as you're aging with purpose and intentionality. And we will see you next week.